this thing and see what it'll do.
Ready to rock this, bro?
Oh, hell yeah. Oh, Patina's so badass. This car just turned out freaking amazing. It drives awesome, it's fast, it handles good. It does everything I want it to do, but it has a few issues and it can be better. I'm all about better. But I just drove it back here. I got a list of stuff I want to do to this thing and it's been eating at me. I gotta know, what does Patina weigh? I have weighed Patina when it was all stock and running and driving around in stock trim, everything pretty much stock, and it was 3850. Actually, I lied, it wasn't all stock. It had an aluminum intake, aluminum water pump, aluminum radiator, and it had a Sandon AC compressor instead of the old school cast iron piston type. So it had 4 items that were lighter, but other than that, everything on the car was all stock. So I'm really curious to see what it weighs right now. And this car has had a bunch however you want to say it. It has had a bunch to lighten this car up. We've got lightweight racing seats. We've got lightweight Willwood pedal assembly. We've got vintage air in this car. Aluminum drive shaft. We've got aluminum wheels on it now. We've got a shorter exhaust system. We've got Willwood aluminum brakes. We've got Willwood rear brakes with an additional aluminum caliper. That's not really lightweight saving, that's actually adding weight back to it. But you can't have a fun car without a hydraulic handbrake. Oh yeah. Sliding into corners is most gooder. Alright, what other lightweight stuff we got on this thing? Let me pop the hood right quick. We've got aluminum heads on it. We've got a lighter billet alternator. We got lightweight aluminum master cylinders. We have headers on it instead of the cast iron, which I don't know. Are headers really lighter than cast iron manifolds because they're longer? I think they still are. We got a carbon fiber air cleaner. Let's see, what else did we do to lighten this thing? Yeah, I guess not a whole lot else was done to lighten this thing, so I'm actually really curious what it weighs right now. So, scales out, lay them down, plug it in, turn it on, hit the button, go. Kind of disappointed. Ugh. I did a whole lot to lighten this car up. Like, a lot. But I kind of forgot. When you do stuff to lighten the car up, you remember that stuff. But when you add stuff to a car, you kind of forget about that stuff. So technically, the car right now is only 100 pounds lighter than it was bone stock. But here's the problem. This is a beefy aluminum radiator. This is probably the same weight, if not heavier, than the original brass radiator. The 6-speed transmission in this thing. The 6-speed is freaking heavy. It's got 2 more gears in it. It's a longer, taller, wider transmission. And I put a steel scatter shield on it. So that bell housing on this car was heavy. So yeah, the transmission and the bell housing took away a lot of my gains. And then I have an aluminum drive shaft, but I also cut out the factory sheet metal rear shock tower brace, and I made a real beefy tubular rear shock tower brace, which is heavier, but it's beefier. And then my rear shocks are heavier because those are also Ride Tech airbags. So it's a racing shock with a Ride Tech airbag on it. And then I also added an extra whole brake system. So I got the drift brake with the hand brake. So that's heavier. You know, I got my racing throttle pedal. That's heavier. I added that additional gauge. I mean, I know it's all a little piddly stuff, but it does all add up. I added an oil cooler, so that added weight. All the additional lines for the oil cooler. I added an external oil filter adapter, so that added weight. Yeah. Now let me tell you the things that I did to lighten the car. We have a Borgeson steering box. That's 8 pounds lighter than stock. We have aluminum water pump, aluminum heads, aluminum intake manifold, and this is a 383 instead of a 440. What was in this car was a 440, but now it's a 383, so that's like 20 pounds lighter. We have aluminum hubs with Wilwood brakes. We have all the Wilwood brake assembly on the firewall with the pedal assembly and everything. These seats here, they are a little bit lighter than stock. Not a whole lot, but a little bit. Those seat tracks are lighter. There's the lightweight pedal assembly in there. The entire vintage air system. Aluminum drive shaft, like I said. Shorter exhaust system. It doesn't go over and out the back. We got aluminum wheels. I actually removed one leaf spring out of this car. So one leaf spring is out. Actually, yeah, one leaf spring per side. Let's see, what else did we do here to lighten this thing up? I think that's about it as for lightening. But see, we also added a beefier front sway bar. Yeah, so a lot of it is kind of a wash. But think about it this way. If I didn't do all those things to lighten this car up, and I did all the things that I've done, and I put that 6-speed in there and all that stuff and everything that made the car heavier, if I didn't do those things to lighten it up versus the stuff I added to it, this thing would be well over 4,000. This thing would be 4,000 pounds. So I'm still glad I did everything to it. I wouldn't take nothing away from it, except I am going to lighten up a few things. So these the steel bumper brackets, we're either going to make aluminum ones or we're going to hog those things out and make them lighter. I think I'm going to get rid of the wiper motor system because I'm never going to use the freaking wiper motors. Or either that or I'll switch over to a lightweight wiper motor, probably from like either a newer car or something retrofitted in here. We are getting rid of the gauge cluster and going to a Dakota digital. That's a little bit lighter. So the Dakota digital gauges are a little bit lighter. Let's see, what else? We're going to lighten up the rear bumper brackets. We're going to get rid of the horns. So I think all of that is probably only worth about maybe 30 pounds, 35 pounds. So it's not a huge gains, but still, it's gains. Man, I was just really hoping to see this thing around 3,500 pounds, but you just forget about all the stuff that you did to make it heavier. Not intentionally. All right, well, it's like midnight. I'm gonna go to bed, and we're gonna finish working on Patina. I got a whole lot of crap I'm gonna do this thing, and I will tell you about it all in the morning. All right, I got patina up in the air. It's weighted on the suspension, both front and back. We're gonna go ahead and check the pinion angle. Last time I checked it, it was right around 1 degree. Of course, that was several months ago. Suspension has settled, things have changed, whatnot. So go ahead and check it again. Is 89.8 degrees, so pretty much 90 degrees. And then we're gonna go ahead and stick it on the drive line. And it is, you probably see this one, it's a little lighter. One degree, exactly, 1.1. So, and it's downhill. The drive shaft is going downhill. So that means I still only have 1 degree of pinion angle. I need to fix that. I need like minimum of 3. So, plus by adding more pinion angle to it, it'll get my snubber away from the body, so I'll get a little bit more suspension travel. Because what I have done to this car is I have removed 1.5 leaves. So I removed 1 leaf out of the stack, and then I cut 1 in half. So the back half of the leaf has been cut out, and that's just to soften the ride of the car, because this car rode like ass. Part of the reason my pinion angle is bad is because I raised the front leaf spring hanger in this car. I raised this 2 inches, so that way it'll give me the clearance for my exhaust. Plus, it lowers the car. But when you raise the front leaf spring, what you're also doing is taking away pinion angle. So basically I'm going to be counteracting what I did here, but this is all for the better. Lowered and exhaust clearance, I will sacrifice just a little bit of extra work to fix the pinion angle. So that's where I'm at right now. I need to remove my brakes so I can access the leaf spring perch, and I'm going to plasma cut that one off, grind it smooth, set my new ones on there. Oh, there, sit up again. I'll set my new leaf spring perches on, and then I'll clamp it down, but not real tight, and then so that way I can set my pinion angle, and then I'll clamp it, put a couple tack welds, remove it all again. I'll go ahead and TIG weld it all up, good to go. So, get started. I screwed up a little. When I ordered my new leaf spring perches, I guess I didn't notice that they were 5/8 hole instead of 1/2 inch. So luckily I had some steel sleeve here, so I'm just gonna go ahead and weld that in there, and then it'll be most gooders. Oversight, but easy fix. Quick one too. All right, burning. Yeah, see, welding that sleeve in there? That makes it fit all nice and tight like on that leaf spring. Yep, now that I can do finished cleaning, now I can drop the axle back down, I can put my U-bolts in it, and then I can move on to the other side. It's like once you finish one side, you're like, yeah, I'm almost done. Then it's like, shit, now I gotta do the other side. All right, here we go. .5 downhill on the rear end and 1.7 on or downhill on the drive shaft. So I have, see, what is that, like 2.2 degrees of pinion angle, which I still want more. That's not enough. So we're gonna go ahead and See if we can't tilt the rear end down, just because I have the bolts loose. See if I just can't pull it down. Oh wow, that's easier than I thought. All right, let me see where I'm at now. So now we're at 2.5 and 2.2. So now I am 4.7 degrees downhill, which that's not bad. Let's see, where are we at on this? 89.4. I've already tilted it up a little bit, so I need to go up just a little bit more. Just need to go up a half degree. Let's see what that did. All right, where are we at? We're at 89.8. So that would mean 89.8. That's pretty freaking close. I think we'll just call that good. We'll lock that down. So I'm just gonna call this 90, because by the time I tighten, if I tighten the rear bolts first, that'll actually bring the pinion up. So I'm just gonna tighten the rear bolts first to bring it up to exactly 90 degrees. And then upon the throttle, when the pinion goes uphill, then both the front and the back will match. So no driveline vibration. Okay. All right. Well, kind of a shitty, windy day, so I was wanting to weld up my leaf spring purchase today because I finished setting the pinion angle last night and the drive shaft angle. That ain't gonna happen. It's way too windy today. I don't know if you can see, but the bushes is blowing good. Well, I can move on to other things. I got two things that I can do right now. Actually, there's a lot of things I can do right now, but two of the most important things is cooling system. I wanted to add another little inline radiator underneath this radiator, and I want to add an accumulator. An accumulator is basically like a backup oil pump. So if for some reason when I'm cornering or autocrossing or road racing or whatever, and the oil gets sloshed away from the pickup tube in the pan, the accumulator takes over and supplies the additional oil needed to keep the engine pressurized for a short period of time. We're talking like a couple seconds. But it's this doohickey right here, this big old honking cylinder. It's got a valve on it right here. It's electric solenoid. So as soon as I turn the key on, this solenoid powers up and pressurizes the engine. And when I shut the key off, what happens is it shuts the solenoid off, so all that stored oil pressure that stays in here, it'll stay in there. See, here's the gauge right there. Oh, it still has air pressure in it right now. So that'll stay in there until I turn the key on again the next day, which as soon as I turn the key on, boom, valve opens up, engine's getting pressurized. And so this is constantly going back and forth through the diaphragm. If it drops below, like say I come over a hill on a road course and a slight corner, and all of a sudden I lose oil pressure, well then the plunger that's in here will push oil into the engine, and then once I get oil pressure again back in the engine, the plunger will be pushed back up. So it just constantly goes back and forth, you know, when you're road racing and stuff. But the bigger problem is, where the hell am I going to stuff it? So I'll probably do this one first because that's a little easier, and then I'll pull the radiator out because I've got to weld. See, I'm having to hold this thing close to my face because I'm holding the bottle. Or not bottle, but accumulator. So I got to figure out where to put this thing. As you can tell, I don't have a lot of space, and I was already kind of disappointed in the weight of the car. I didn't realize it was going to be that heavy. So because I took so much weight out of the thing that you kind of forget about all the weight that you've added back to it to make it a better car. So it sucks that I'm going to be putting, this thing's not light. This thing's got some weight to it. Actually, you know what? Let me weigh it real quick. I'll be right back. All right, so this thing weighs 7.2 pounds, but that's not including the hoses and the fittings, but that's not too bad. I actually pre-bought that stuff. So let's grab some hose. See, we'll grab some fittings. I probably won't use all this, but just roughly we'll see what it weighs. Go back over here. I hate windy days. All right. Blammo. Okay, so it added a pound, a little over a pound, so 8.6. But then, see, there's more oil going to be stored inside this. So as soon as I shut the key off, oil from the pan is going to be stored in this. So it's probably going to take like an additional quart. That's what I figured, 10 pounds. Okay. Yeah, so I'm probably looking at an additional 10 pounds. All right. So now, oh, wait, hold on. See, I'm all worried about weight now. This doohickey here don't weigh too much, but it's still weight. Let's see what this thing weighs. This is what's going to go underneath the radiator. All right, stay there. Don't fall. All right. So 13 pounds. So let's just call it 15 pounds by the time there's coolant and clamps and whatever the hell else I've got. Oh, and nuts and bolts. And so 15 pounds. So now I got to pull 15 pounds out of the car. But I know where to pull 15 pounds out. I plan on pulling the front and rear bumpers off, lightening up the front and rear bumpers, removing the bow tie that connects the two front bumpers with a piece of aluminum. So I'm hoping all that work I do, which I was hoping to lose 15 pounds, it's probably just going to put me back where I was. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and try and figure out where the hell we're going to mount this doohickey. So I'll see you in a minute. It's still freaking breezy as hell outside, but I've got the accumulator mounted, and since I don't want to add any weight to the car, but I think I've come up with the best solution is underneath it. So I mean, you could put it in the back so you get rear weight, but then you're just adding a whole bunch of line. And since I'm using hose, I mean, hose does swell, and so to me, if you have a really long hose, you actually lose oil pressure with it. So where I have mounted it is actually kind of the best place I thought I could put it, and right there. So it's actually level with the subframe connectors. So I think that's going to be a good spot. I'll go ahead and run my lines up to the oil filter adapter up front. That's the remote oil filter locator. So all I'm going to be doing is cutting one of the hoses and putting a T-splice there. And then this will just tee into my fitting. So let's go see where I can put that. Yep, so let me show you how that functions now. So it's really oily and messy here because of disconnecting lines and all that crap. But I don't know if you can see, let me try and get down in here. This is the pressure line that actually feeds the block. It comes out of the oil filter adapter, goes through the cooler and back to the engine. So what I did is I just put a T-fitting there, and then off that T-fitting is the line that runs all the way to the accumulator under the car. I wanted to put it under the car because I'm trying to go for lower center of gravity. As you can see, it's level with the bottom of the car. But I had to do a little bit of customizing here because that is where the pressure switch is supposed to go that turns this solenoid on and off. This is what turns the accumulator, or this is what opens the valve to the plunger inside here. So that way this can pressurize the engine. So if I would have put the pressure switch right here, like I said, it would have been below the lowest point of the car. So I just took the hose end and welded a bung to it and put the pressure switch there. That way it's all above the lowest point of the car. See? All right. Well, that's how it works. Pretty simple. And you only got to run one wire to it because the other wire you just ground out through the switch. All right, next, I need to pull the radiator out. And I got to pull this off because I've got to do some welding to this hose and I've got to do some welding to this radiator. So that way I can make room or put ports there for an additional cooler. Yep. I've got a little mini radiator that I made that's gonna go right behind the lower core support. So I'm gonna hole saw this thing out, and then I'm gonna put that little radiator right there, because I'm going to be putting a chin spoiler on here, kind of like Daisy. And with the chin spoiler on there, it'll direct all the air through that cooler. Because in the summertime, it's freaking hot here in Vegas. It's like 115 to 118 degrees usually in the summertime. And when you have the AC running, then I have a AC condenser that's putting out 160 degree air that's being fed through the radiator. So the radiator is getting hot air from the condenser, plus then the condenser is getting hot air from the oil cooler. So, and that's almost a 500 cubic inch engine with 11-to-1 compression. I've already added an additional cooler right there. See the fan for it? I don't know if you can or not, but I made some brackets and stuff and put an additional cooler there. So it's like a little mini radiator. That little mini radiator is tied to the water heater line. So when the heater is on, they share the circuit, but when the heater's off, then all the fluid circulates through that little radiator. So just a little bit of extra cooling. I don't know. Even if I only get 10% better cooling with that one, or with the 2 additional radiators, that's 10% more than I had. But I just want to be able to have the AC running in Death Valley, you know, 125, 130 degree temperatures and not overheat. I just want the thing bulletproof on temperature. Plus, I'm going to be going to Willow Springs and racing this thing. So I want to make sure there's no overheating issues. If this wasn't here, if I didn't have AC, I wouldn't have any issues. But because I have AC and a big motor, that's what causes the issues. So we got to overkill the cooling system. All right, less blabbing, more working. All right, here we go. Got the radiator out. I need to add a couple of bungs to it. That way I can make this mini radiator function with this radiator. So we're gonna add one right there, and we're gonna add one right there. That way, oh, here's the rear. That way this guy can come off the side of it, and then that will plumb down to this one. And then this one here is going to plumb like that over to this one. I have a 180 fitting that's gonna go right there. So get this all welded up and be goods to go. Got my bungs welded on, but I'm not gonna put the radiator in just yet because it's an oily mess down here. And so I'm going to degrease and pressure wash the whole engine bay. But before it gets dark, I'm gonna go ahead and weld in my leaf spring perches since it's not windy today. So yeah, the leaf spring perches I installed, well, shit, you can't see them right now, but I'll get it lit up to where you can see them. But yeah, I need to put those guys in so that way I can mount all the rear axle back together. And then we're gonna go ahead and drive the Boost Caboose over to the local car show. So I'm gonna go ahead and tack up these things and I'll finish weld them tonight, and then I'm gonna take the Boost Caboose out. All right. What do you think, Bolt? Is it more betters? Oh, damn. Yeah. All right. So that's all welded up. The leaf spring perches are welded to the axle. I've got it bolted back down. I just need to finish putting the rotors, the caliper. Yeah, you smell breakfast, don't you? Anyway, I just need to finish bolting it all back together. So then I'm actually going to cut the extra thread off of this just to save a little bit of weight. You know, Patina is kind of a pig. Need to lighten it up a little bit. So I've actually keeping track of everything I'm pulling off the car. let's see, we got the horns, we got the wedge shims, the hardware, the relay, and now we're gonna end up cutting those threads off. So we're taking a little bit of weight out. I mean, I put an accumulator on the thing, so I need to at least take the weight off that the accumulator is. So we'll finish that off by removing the bumper type bow tie, and then I'm actually gonna lighten the front bumper brackets up a little bit. And then I'm debating if I should get rid of the wiper motor. I mean, I never use the thing. Or if anything, maybe I'll go to like the junkyard and find like a smaller wiper motor out of like a little import car or something and make it fit. Because that thing, those little wiper motors are kind of heavy. They're all steel. Big old boat anchor right there. So, I don't know. I'm going to think about that. But I still got a lot of things I got to do. So I'm going to finish bolting the rear axle all back together. Alrighty. Next on the list is trying to get this cooling system even more bester by trying to get more air to flow through this fan shroud. And see, there's no flaps. Like I just cut these out. I'm gonna put these on here. I'm gonna have a little aluminum strap up here that'll allow these to flap up and down, and then I'll hole saw there. Most of you guys have seen this. It allows air to go through, but not back in, because when these fans turn on, I want it to draw all the air through the radiator and not suck through this hole here. So I'm gonna try and get this. I'm hoping with a couple of holes here that'll add just a little bit more airflow on this fan shroud, because on the highway you could see that on the dash the fans were turning on and off, and fans shouldn't even be turning on and off on the highway. It should be enough airflow through that radiator at highway speeds to cool that radiator. So just trying to create a little bit more airflow. I don't know if this will fix that problem, but it'll definitely help. I don't want to go crazy and add a ton of holes, and I can't add any down here because that's where the wiring and everything is at, so it'll interfere with the flap. But right here, that should help a little bit. At least help with the top of the radiator anyway. Alright, got all my flaps done, and I even removed the wiring because I can just mount this to the frame rail and then just lengthen the wires to the fans, because I figured more airflow was more important than just having the wiring sitting right here. So I just put 3 more holes on the bottom. I got 4 on the top, and all together that should help create a little bit more airflow through that radiator on, geez, you're looking way over there, on freeway speeds. All right, well, I gotta go get some food. I'm hungry. And then I just gotta trim this little half moon right there, so that way this can slide over, because I added that bung there. And then I can go ahead and bolt this sucker back in the car. And then I can mount my additional radiator and drink some beer, and then mount the hoses and then drink some beer. And then I'm sure I'll find something else, and then drink more beer. All right, it's food time. Go get some burgers. Sit tight. Alrighty, fellers. I got the lower radiator, which, yeah. So now I have upper radiator, lower radiator, side radiator. So I've got the lower radiator in the car, right there. See, I made brackets for it. It's mounted. Yeah, that's the 180 that goes over to the bottom side of the radiator. So that's actually where it ties into the radiator right there, the upper radiator. Now I need to make it to where the top of my radiator, which will be the outlet side, will go straight down into the inlet side of my lower radiator. So it's a lot of upper, lower, in, out radiator talk, but it's just got to make it fit. I'm all out of fittings, and I don't really want to go to the store and buy another one because I don't want to drive downtown. I have one that I had previously cut, and I got one right here that I'm not going to use. So I'm just going to cut the barbs off of this and weld it to this, because actually I don't want 90 degrees anyway. I want like 120, and that's already like 120. What is it, Bolt? Who do you see? You bunny hopping. You a big tough guy, Bolt? He's got his big boy pork now. All right.
Well, I'll do any broth. Yes, there's no protocol for this thing. He's just feeding them in to keep the matches exact.
Okay, Patina needs to go on a diet a little bit, because after putting that additional radiator in it and that accumulator, you know, I have added even more weight to the 3,750 pounds that was already here. 3,750 doesn't sound like a lot, which it really isn't for what the car is. All steel, all glass, and it's got 4 radiators in this thing. It's got it's got a heavy duty freaking battery. It's subframe connected. It's got a 6-speed transmission, steel bell housing. It's fully dynamated, fully insulated, sound system, all the interior. I mean, if this car bone stock weighed, about 3,900 pounds. And even though I only lost 150 pounds, it has by doing all the lightweight stuff, I gained weight by adding a lot of things back to it that make the car better than what it was. So what I'm going to be doing now is a couple things in here that I don't really need. I don't need this steel bow tie crossbar. I'm kind of not digging the bumperettes. I think I'm going to remove the bumperettes, and we're going to hog out the front bumper brackets. So hopefully we're going to take some weight out of right off the very front nose of the car to make it handle better. Now, and I'm going to remove the license plate too. The license plate bracket, but it's not a race car. This car can never compete against anything and be competitive. I'm just trying to peace of mind shed some weight off that I put back on it, because 3,750, I really wanted this car to be like 3,550, 3,500 pounds, and I really don't think there's any way I'm going to shed another 200 pounds off this car without really sacrificing all the feature comforts of a modern day daily driver, you know, with AC and fully dynamated, insulated. And and I don't want to replace these with fiberglass. I don't want to replace this with fiberglass. I don't want to put plexiglass windows. I don't want to put fiberglass doors. I don't want to put fiberglass trunk lid. And I don't want to put fiberglass bumpers. The reason I don't want to do that is I want steel bumpers, because it's a street car. If I'm in a parking lot somewhere and somebody backs into my car in a parking lot without the steel bumpers, they have a chance of breaking through the fiberglass and damaging the body. So I'm going to go ahead and finish lightening up the front bumper brackets, and I'll show you guys the process when I'm working on it. All right, I'm going to get on it. Now that those bumper brackets are all scalloped out, check them out. They're all pretty looking. Yeah. But was it really worth it? Because I only lost 4 pounds on all 4 brackets, 1 pound apiece. And I kind of, I pretty much hogged the hell out of them. But I tried to make it to where they still have some strength. Yes, you can put fiberglass bumpers on it. Yes, you can put aluminum bumper brackets. But for a street car that drives every day in parking lots, you don't want a fiberglass bumper and you don't want aluminum bumper brackets. Because all it takes is some Prius or Tesla or whatever to back up, hit your bumper. Fiberglass is not going to save your grill. Those aluminum bumper brackets are not going to save that grill. So I'd rather have a little bit of weight and some structural integrity of a front bumper instead of something that's just going to collapse and break, to save my grill, save the fenders. So street car, it's not a race car. Just trying to make it just trying to take some nose weight off this. It's like 55% nose weight. It was 54.9. So by doing that, removing the bow tie, getting rid of some of the hardware, getting rid of the horns. Let's see, what else did I do up front? Yeah, I think that's about it. So at least by doing that, I'm hoping maybe I'll lose some nose weight. I think I am going to scallop the rear bumper brackets. Of course, that's probably only worth 1 pound combined. So, is it really worth it? I don't know. I might do it, I might not, I don't know. But let me go ahead and get this front bumper bolted back in the car, so that way I can get everything slapped back together, get this thing on the ground, because I'm pretty much done with it being up in the air. Because then I need to put, I need to adjust the caster a little bit. I want to rake up the caster a little bit because it has like 3 in it now. I want to go to at least 4. And then I have bump springs, some NASCAR bump springs I might try putting on top of the shocks just to keep from riding on the bump stop as much. So I'll show you guys that stuff in a minute. I'm going to go ahead and finish this. Look at that pile of parts I've removed from Patina. Now, it only lost 18 pounds with all of this right here. But that's not including the front bumper brackets that I had hogged out, scalloped, and then a couple nuts and bolts of stuff that I had thrown away instead of actually putting on the scale. So I would say I lost total of about roughly 25 pounds, maybe just a hair under. Now, all that scallop work I did to those front bumpers, it only saved me 4 pounds. Didn't save me a whole lot, but that's 4 pounds way off on the nose of the car. So, I mean, it'll help it a little bit. Let's see. I don't know if you can see them in there very well, but all right, yeah, see how they're all scalloped out. Actually, kind of cool looking, really. It'd be neat if I went and had them blasted and painted now. But so all four brackets are done that way. Ugh. Which netted me a total of $37.22. So 37.22 doesn't sound very light, but when you consider everything that this car has, this is a fully functional street car. Everything works. So AC, it's got power steering, it's got wiper motor, it's got 4 radiators in this thing. Like I said earlier, the oil cooler and then 2 coolant coolers, because it's almost a 500 cubic inch motor with 11:1 compression. And in the summertime, it's 120 degrees here, and then this condenser gets 160 degrees, so the air coming out of the condenser is 160 degrees before it even hits the radiator. So in the summertime, I need all the cooling I can get if I'm going to have AC in this thing. And that's, like I say, sound system, everything. I mean, I do have additional weight with the handbrake and the extra caliper, but I've lightened this car up a lot. I have legit taken 250 pounds out of this car from when it was stock. Between all the brakes I've done, the aluminum heads, the Borgeston steering box, the aluminum drive shaft. I mean, everything. And the factory, the vintage air AC is actually way lighter than the factory AC. But when you start factoring in everything that I've added to the car, which would be the additional coolers, the 6-speed transmission with that heavy scatter shield bell housing. That bell housing weighs like 40 pounds alone, or 35 pounds, something like that. And then, like I said, the additional weight from the handbrake, and then I've got the subframe connectors on it. So I've added a bunch of weight to it just in See, I have a hard time figuring out where the camera's gonna be at unless I'm like looking at the camera the whole time. But if I, so there's a lot more minus than there was plus. So we're still at 3722, which that's probably the factory weight of a slant 6 bare bones 69 Charger. No AC, no power steering, no power brakes. Factory bone stock slant 6 car with no options and not even a buddy seat in the middle. So being is I've got much more upgrades, much more goodies. It's way faster, better fuel economy. Everything is all better. And I weigh the same as a slant 6 68 Charger. You know, I'll take that. So I do got one more thing I need to add, which is some NASCAR trickery stuff. Yeah. These right here are bump springs. So these go on top of the shock, and these act as an additional spring when, see, I don't want that spring rate the whole time. This car still has 383 torsion bars in it. I didn't want really beefy like 1.15 or 1.18 torsion bars in it, because then it rides like crap for the street, and they're much heavier. So what I've done is I still have the stock 383 torsion bars in it, and another thing with having stock torsion bars, the lighter the torsion bar, the more weight that's going to transfer on acceleration. And so if coming out of a corner you want to goose it up, you know, it'll transfer more weight to the back to get more rear grip. So, but when you're in the corners at like a banked track at Willow Springs, which I'm going to be going to here shortly, this will act as like a 2-step spring. So it still has the factory torsion bar in it, but then as the shock compresses, then it will hit the bump spring, and this bump spring will add additional spring rate to make up for what the torsion bar doesn't have. So, but then when I come off when I throttle up coming out of a corner, it still has all that good load transfer because it comes off of this, and then the softer spring takes over and transfers all the way back. So that's what we're gonna be doing. Bump springs. This is actually I forgot what spring rate this is. Okay, this is a 650. Yep, this is a 650 rate spring. So I'm gonna go ahead and install these guys real quick and then get it off the scales, because I've got another car to work on. I actually want to put Smurf on the scales real quick since I've already got it set up in here. I'm just curious what Smurf weighs. So installed, Smurf in, scaled, and the Patina is ready for the autocross at Matt's. So yeah, Patina's gonna kick some ass. We got the whole jalopy class coming. So anyways, I'll get back to you guys in just a minute. Like doing a burnout. And there it is, bump spring. I cut that bush, I cut the lip off that bushing just to act as a little rubber damper, just so if I am going through a bumpy area, then you won't hear aluminum on an aluminum shock. This will just act as a little bit of a damper. And this is a really hard, what is this, like urethane? Yeah, so just a little bit of a damper, cut down some of the noise. But at ride height, this should just be touching this. And then if I need to take any more spring rate out of it, and maybe probably drop the ride height a little bit if I wanted to, but I think the ride height's gonna be the exact same. I can just take turns out of the torsion bar. If I take turns out of the torsion bar, then that's just gonna share the spring load to the bump spring. All right, well, that should work most gooders for helping weight transfer on acceleration, and then the bump spring takes over for aggressive cornering. All right, well, I'm gonna do the exact same thing the other side, then I can get this thing done and get it out of here. Ready for the autocross. Alright, so getting the generally ready for the autocross, and I noticed the handbrake wasn't working that good. Here's why. 2 calipers, regular brake, handbrake, drift brake. I just have the bolts out of it. But look, here's a comparison. So that's how much meat I have left on the regular brakes, and here's what's left on the handbrake. Why? Because the handbrake is way more fun. Yeah, getting the arsenal ready for Matt. Patina, the General, Smurf. Gonna tear that track up. Futura.
Yeah, group 5. Yep. This is my group 5. Got this beautiful kid out here. We got some babies. Frankie's been running with us. He's got his daughter Stevie out there in the picture. Group number 1.
Are you gonna suck?
Yes. Yes, I am. Sponsors to donate to the code fund. This nice. Well, that's a hell of a run right there.
Got wedged in the throttle and stuck wide open.
Oh,
That's why I had to try to kill it, you know, to get it to stop.
all right.
That was great. That was on point.
You got a seatbelt on this side? Nope. Alrighty. What is that? Handbrake. 50. Did we hit a cone?
Yeah, you clipped one right back there. You just came in a little tight on that one.
It does smell a bit like coolant.
That's why it spun.
Yeah, Got your tires on that? Oh yeah.
I'm just gonna fire it up.
With a dash shift. I feel like you just live one of the most interesting lives ever.
All red or what?
Nah,
Not
it's
bad.
just blew off radiator hose.
Watch out, huh?
Oh, perfect. Here. Okay, I guess we just tried.
I was wondering why it got loose on me all of a sudden.
Yeah. I mean, you were cooking it like around that corner a little hotter than the second time, but I was like pretty surprised at let go, so.
Another one? God, you killed another one? It smells like it.
Not killed, at least.
Not yet.
Yeah, doing a gear swap. We smoked the clutch last night in the Junkerup, so we're gonna go ahead and put a locker in it. Lockers, more betters.
If you have a phone, a video, a camera of any kind, way, shape, or form, you really want to get that out and get ready. Yeah, one more.
Oh, now he's spun out the general. Oh, here comes the fuzz. He's going to get him. Nope, he ain't giving her up yet. Go.
Too bad I don't have my mullet.
No kidding, man. Oh, that'd be awesome. Well, you got the picture with the chicks, man.
Yeah.
I got some good ones on here of you. So does everybody else. She's got a little stumble in it, doesn't it?
A little bit.
Oh, 276 years.
Dude, you'd have been better off driving it yourself.
Is that ticking?
Yeah, you got a little too much timing in it. I'll try not to get too much.
That is something you will not see. A real Daytona Charger doing what it's supposed to be doing. I know they were built for NASCAR. Whatever. NASCAR got boring. Okay, that's a car show ring. That shit should be in a museum.
Yes, it should be.
Because Either in a museum. So, how does anything?
Actually, it feels really good.
Okay.
Where it should be.
You really need to take some timing out of it.
Take some timing out. So retarded a little bit.
It's got a little too much in it.
So if I go down,
I couldn't go full throttle. I was only able to get half.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
Because anything more than full throttle, or anything more than half throttle, it was detonated. Its head off.
So if I go to a higher elevation, will that be worse or better?
If you go to a higher elevation, it won't ping as much.
Okay.
But you want to get it to the point where it's like tick, 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 tick here. So then when you do get back home, you know it's ticked.
Okay. Sounds good.